When it comes to self-love, it all starts with recognizing that beliefs like I'm not lovable or I'm not worthy of love are actually a misunderstanding about who you really are. But these beliefs aren't just in your mind, they're also stored in your body as sensations and habitual patterns like tightness or contraction or clenching. So today, what I want to do is explore how these physical sensations, just like thoughts, don't define who you are. By engaging in somatic practices, you can begin to experience self-love, not just as an idea, but as a lived reality in your body. Hey there, yogis and yoginis. I'm Lisa Engles, and welcome to my channel, where I help spiritual seekers just like you to harness the ancient wisdom of yoga to live an extraordinary life. The goal of this channel is super simple. It's just to make it easier than ever before for anyone to find happiness and fulfillment in their everyday life by using what has already been passed down to us for millennia. Now, before we dive into today's topic, be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because I post new content, new videos just like this one on a regular basis. And do be sure to hit that notification bell because you don't want to miss any of my updates. Okay, so a really quick disclaimer at the outset here. It's important to acknowledge that the work that we'll be discussing in this video touches on trauma. Many of the beliefs that we hold about ourselves, especially ones like I'm not lovable, stem from early life experiences that could be considered traumatic. So it's essential to understand that while somatic practices are super powerful, they're not a substitute for professional trauma therapy. So if you've experienced significant trauma, then working with a qualified therapist is a very, very important part of your healing journey and your spiritual growth. I also want to mention that this video is the second of a two-part series that's focused on answering the question, how do I love myself? And overcoming the belief that I'm not lovable or I'm not worthy of love. So if you haven't watched that first video yet, then I encourage you, after you watch this one, to go ahead and watch that first one, and I'll be sure to put the link to it in the description below. All right, so let's dive in. When we're experiencing something traumatic, it's not just a memory that lingers. Our body, our nervous system actually holds on to the experience. You can imagine a time when you felt intense stress or fear. Maybe your heart was racing or your muscles tensed or you found it hard to breathe. These are all signs of your nervous system reacting to a perceived threat. When this kind of reaction happens repeatedly, or when it isn't fully processed, it leaves a lasting imprint in the body. It's like a pattern or a state of chronic tension or unease. This is what we mean when we talk about a trauma response. It's not just in your mind, it's also your body reacting, often in ways that you can't even control. It's a constant state of alertness or tension in the body that can make it incredibly difficult to let go of long-held beliefs that we have about ourselves, beliefs like I'm not lovable. The body literally reinforces the mind's stories because of the trauma response, making them feel even more real and harder to shake. And this is because the physical response, the physical sensations validate the emotional or the cognitive beliefs, creating this feedback loop that strengthens those beliefs. So, how do we begin to disentangle these sensations from the beliefs that they reinforce? The first step is to bring your awareness directly to the body. In somatic healing, we don't just passively observe, we allow ourselves to fully experience the sensations as they arise. We inhabit the sensations, but without attaching a label or a story or a belief to them. So for instance, if you notice a tightness in your chest or a clenching in your stomach, instead of immediately attaching the thought to it, I'm not lovable, you allow yourself to be fully aware of the sensation. You simply feel the sensation without any labels, without trying to change it, and you allow it to be just as it is. This is a direct experience practice, meeting that sensation fully in the present moment. And what happens is, as you do this, you start to regulate your nervous system, which will in turn create space between the sensation and the belief. When you continue this practice over time, enough space is created between the sensation and the belief that you start in this space to perceive yourself differently. You see that the sensations aren't you in the same way that the thoughts aren't you. These sensations no longer trigger these beliefs and stories that at one time defined who you were, because you now have this ability to perceive them for what they are. They're the body's way of responding to memories of past experiences. And by meeting these sensations with awareness and without judgment, they're no longer trapped in the body. They get digested, they get processed in a really healthy way. Now, as you continue to engage in this type of somatic practice, something really, really profound happens. The sensations that once seemed really overwhelming or tied to beliefs that you have about yourself, they start to lose their intensity. They don't trigger the same emotional reactions or reinforce the old stories that you've held about yourself, like I'm not lovable or I'm not worthy of love. And instead, what happens is you start to experience a sense of spaciousness in your mind and in your body. And this spaciousness allows you to recognize your true nature as a calm, abiding peace, a subtle joy and contentment that isn't dependent on outer circumstances. And this recognition is vital, especially when it comes to the belief, I'm not lovable, because most of us are conditioned to think that love is something that we acquire from outside of ourselves. But here's the truth. Love isn't something that you need to earn. It's an inherent part of what you are. So how can this even be possible? I invite you to think of love not as a feeling, but as the very essence of what you are. When you see beneath the layers of thoughts and beliefs and emotions and sensations, all that remains is pure awareness. It's peaceful, joyful presence that is your true nature. And this joyful presence is fundamental to what you are. It's not dependent on whether others love you or approve of you. When you begin to experience this presence directly, when you feel that subtle joy and peace within, what you're doing is you're tapping into the love that is intrinsic to who and what you are. And this love isn't something that comes and goes based on external factors. It's a constant underlying sense of wholeness and completeness. It's an inherent part of your being that is always present beyond any need for validation or beyond any need for approval. So as we wrap this up, it's important to recognize that this exploration of somatic healing is, again, the second part of a two-part practice that's aimed at answering this question, how do I love myself? and overcoming this belief that I'm not lovable. In my previous video, we explored how the belief I'm not lovable is a fundamental misunderstanding of who you are. So again, I want you to be sure to watch that video if you haven't already. Put the link to that video in the description below. And in this video, what we've done is we've focused on the role of somatic practice and the practice of disentangling those sensations and trauma responses in the body and nervous system from our beliefs so that you can experience self-love as a lived reality free from the grip of old stories and emotional patterns. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you found this video helpful, please do give it a like and share your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, if you haven't already, to subscribe to my channel for more insights, for more guidance on your spiritual journey. And until next time, be well and namaste.